Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. My name is Sean. This is UCM Pigs Motovlogs, and we're obviously not motovlogging today. Noella May is having an electrical problem, so what we're going to do today is we're going to troubleshoot this electrical problem, specifically the charging system on my 2016 Ultra Classic that I refer to as Noella May. So welcome to the Pig Pen. But before we get started, let me remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always on my channel, if you don't feel like typing words, just leave me an emoji. Let me know you were here. I would greatly appreciate that. So I was out on Sunday and I had a little problem, and the indication was the battery light came on my dash. It's right there in your meter, your little voltmeter. I'll put a picture in here. So that light came on and I noticed that my voltage was a little low. The needle was right at 12 volts, which, yeah, it's a 12 volt system. However, when my bike is running, I'm usually above 12 volts at an idle, and then around 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs, I'm right around 14 volts. So it was staying steady at 12 volts with that light on. So I went home and immediately decided I needed to do some troubleshooting to figure out what's going on. Now, there's a couple components in your charging system, major components. Of course, your battery, you have a voltage regulator, and you also have a stator, which is what creates the current that goes through the voltage regulator, gets stepped down and converted to DC because the stator creates AC, and then feeds your battery to supply power to your bike for starting lights and stuff like that, and charging your battery most importantly. So it's obvious I have that problem, but we're going to step back. I'm going to show you how to test a battery, and then I'm going to show you how to test one of these components and show you what I've found with this troubleshooting. So let's get right into that. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to confirm that we do indeed have a charging problem. To determine if you have a charging problem or not, we're going to put the meter back on the battery and we're going to start the bike. Now what we're looking for is immediately when we start the bike, we're going to see a drop in voltage. It should drop around 10 volts. We really don't want it going below 10 or too far below 10. Once the bike's running, it should recover above 12 volts at an idle. 12.6, maybe 13 volts. When you start to rev the motor up to around 2,000 RPMs, you should see that climb up to about 14 volts. That means your charging system is doing what it should do. So I'm going to show you what I'm experiencing here. So we're going to connect the leads and we're going to reach up here and start the bike. Voltage drop. So as you can see, I dropped down below 10 and it pretty much stayed right around 12 volts. Did not increase, so that's telling me I'm having a problem with my charging system. So we're going to further the troubleshooting. The next thing we want to eliminate is our stator. So let's talk about the stator just a little bit. Now your stator is actually located inside of your primary. It's going to be up here on the front behind your compensator. I'll put a picture in here of what it looks like, but it's basically just a spun wheel that will rotate in some magnets. And as I mentioned, its purpose is to create electricity. Now it's going to create AC voltage. And from there, that AC voltage is going to go out to the voltage regulator, which is located in the front of the bike above your oil cooler. I've got everything removed. I'm going to show you where it goes. Then I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot and determine if you have a bad stator, because if your battery's good and your stator's good, then the odds is, and it's a pretty good possibility, you have a bad voltage regulator, which is actually the less of the evils. It's about $190, $200 and a pretty simple replacement to replace your voltage regulator. So let's see if my stator's good and we'll move on. All right, so I had to switch to my phone so I get some light underneath here. So I have removed the oil cooler, which is in this location right here. What I've done is I've brought it up and zip tied it up here to my crash bar to kind of get it out of the way. And the voltage regulator sits right on top of those two empty studs right there. This is the voltage regulator. It sits right up here like that. Two 7/16 nuts hold it in place. I believe the oil cooler is a T45 Torx to remove that. So you're basically going to remove this. You got two plugs, and here's your plug right over here. I think I may have tucked it up. There it is. That's the plug coming off the stator. So you can see there are three prongs. That's what we call a three-phase plug. And then you have two prongs coming out going into your bike's electrical system. So we're going to pull this plug over to the side, and I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot the stator. All right, so now that we've got the wire free and we're able to pull it along here on the side of the bike, we're not laying on the floor, we're going to go ahead and perform this troubleshooting test for this stator to see if it's good. Now there are three tests that we're going to run. The first one is we're going to make sure the stator is not grounded. We want to make sure there's no broken wires in there creating a ground. If that's the case, then we know the stator needs to be replaced. The other test you can run is you can check your ohms across the phases, meaning you're going to test between each phase. There's three combinations, A to B, A to C, and C to B. And you should have 1 to 3 ohms across those. Now, check your service manual. I believe mine is 1 to 3 ohms. You should have that, going across those phases. And then the final check, we're going to check the voltage. Now, that's going to be voltage AC coming out of the stator. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check for any type of grounds. We're going to basically, it's a continuity test. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our meter and we're going to switch it to the ohm setting or the continuity setting. Now this meter, I can put it on the lowest ohm setting and it will, whoops, bring it around here. It will give me a tone if there's continuity. Some meters will give you a tone, some meters will just give you like a 1, letting you know you have continuity. So that's the tone. If you notice, it has OL there, that's open line. That's what we want to see whenever we check each one of these phases on this plug. We want to see an open line showing us that there's no grounding on the stator. So let's go ahead and pull the cable out here. And we'll test the first plug. So when you insert your probe, make sure you're hitting the metal on the inside, and then we're just going to touch a bolt here on the engine. And that's not good. I've got a tone. So let's check the other phase. Same there. I've got a tone. And the third phase. I've got a tone. So that tells me I've got something going on internal on this stator. I've got a broken wire or something that is causing the stator to be grounded, which basically means it needs to be replaced. So I can pretty much stop right there, but I'm going to go ahead and show you these other tests. So if you do that and it passes, you need to move on to the second test and check your ohms. So this meter here is a little simpler, and we're going to go ahead and switch it to ohms. And then let's do a continuity check first on the meter. Set that up. This one doesn't have a kickstand. There we go. So I'm reading about 3 ohms just on my cables. So there's no way to zero this out, so you have to keep in mind that the cables are automatically 3 ohms. So whatever we get on the wire up there, we'll add it to that, or we'll subtract the 3 ohms from. That will give us the true reading. So for example, if we're at 3 ohms here, I run my test, it reads 6 ohms, and remember I told you my tolerance is 1 to 3. That's fine, because I subtract 3, the original continuity, the original reading, and I'm down to 3 ohms. So that's how you do that. It's pretty much simple math. So we're going to go ahead and do this quick test real quick. So we're going to go from A to B. And 4, 5, 6. That's almost a 0 reading. Let's go to the next 2. Make sure we got connection to the metal. 5, 6. It's a 0 reading. So what it appears is I am not getting any reading between these phases. We're going to confirm it with the other meter. I'll show you that it's showing 0. So we take this meter, which is a little better quality meter. We connect from one phase to another. And as you can see, it's reading 0. So that's not good. I should have 1 to 3. And that's on all 3 phases there. So it's pretty obvious this stator is shot. Now the final test that you can run, if yours passes both of those and you still want to make sure your stator is good, you're going to check for voltage. So what you're going to do is you're going to switch to volts AC up here, V with a squiggly line, and then you're going to do the same test. You're going to go from A to B, B to C, C to B, and you're going to have the bike running. So you're going to go between the first two, you're going to start the bike, you're going to run up to around 2,500, 3,000 RPMs. You should be putting out about 32 to 36 volts AC. Yesterday when I did this, I was only putting out in the low 20s. So it just goes on to confirm that my stator is bad. So that's how you check the stator. Now let's talk about what I'm going to do next. So where am I at? I'm going to tell you. I've already ordered the parts. We're going to do this right here in the pig pen. It's going to be a big job, but I think I can handle it. I have my shop manual. I've read the shop manual several times. I've looked at a couple videos. I've talked to a mechanic because I buy my parts from a local shop. And I think I can handle this. It's just going to require me to carve out some time to do it, and I'm going to have to wait on some parts. I'm going to go ahead and replace the voltage regulator while I'm doing this, and I'm probably going to go ahead and replace the housing on the stator, and maybe I'll put a picture in here of what I'm talking about. I don't know if that's bad or not yet. I know the stator is bad. Sometimes those magnets shift and wear. Again, 2016, 50,000 miles. So I am planning on basically upgrading the entire charging system on this motorcycle. So I've already got the voltage regulator. That came in today. I ordered a new Stator. He has the housing in stock. But I also had to order a complete primary gasket kit because yes, the primary is going to have to basically come completely apart. We're going to have to remove the compensator, we're going to have to remove the clutch basket and get the chain off and basically get in here behind the compensator to remove this housing. So right now I'm at about 190 for a voltage regulator. I spent 200 today on the Stator and gasket kit. If that's where I'm at, you know, that's pretty good. Worst case scenario, if I have to get the housing for the Stator, that's about another 135 bucks. Now, before I go, I want to give a huge shout out to my friend Nore from the Gliding on Two's YouTube channel. If you guys haven't checked out Nore, here's your link. Go check out his channel. I reached out to Nore last night and bounced a couple ideas off of him while I was troubleshooting. Nore is a certified Harley mechanic, and he was kind enough to allow me to bounce some ideas out on him and give me some pointers and stuff like that. So Nore, I appreciate you hooking a brother up. I owe you a stogie. Nore's a good guy. Y'all go check him out. So that's it for this week. That's what I've got going on. This might delay some vlogs for a little while, but we'll be doing some interesting work on the LMA. So until we talk again, you guys be careful. You guys be safe. Always keep your shiny side up, and we'll talk to you next time.